The following podcast is under review.
After reviewing the play, the call on the ice stands. We gotta go!
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another installment of the Under Review Hockey Podcast, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your September 6th, 2019 edition, your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, delivered to you right here in the Niagara region. You can follow the podcast on Twitter at ArmchairGMPod, like us on Facebook at facebook.com/ArmchairGMsNetwork, listen to us on Spreaker, like you are probably right now, at Spreaker.com/the Armchair GMs Network, as well as on Spotify by searching the Armchair GMs Network, and as well as on YouTube by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. So we're available on all sorts of different platforms for you, and whatever's most convenient for you to listen to us. And as always, I am one of your hosts of the Under Review podcast, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Capoots13 with a Canadian Z. And I'm always joined on this podcast by my co-host of the Under Review podcast. He is Kyle at JustKyle51. Kyle, what's going on?
What's up? What's going on, my Chell peeps?
It is Chell season, ladies and gentlemen. So, if you can tell,
season with the season.
Yes,
Chell
as
season.
As you can probably tell by the title on this video, it's going to be a kind of a different video for us today. We're not really discussing anything going on currently in the NHL world. As far as real life, we're going into virtual reality today, and we're going to be talking about the upcoming release of the NHL 20 video game, which releases on September 13th. And
I mean, we really don't need to talk about it. We're in that rookie camp mode right now for the NHL. So really, why sit there and talk about players that are probably not going to make the team going back to juniors?
Yes. So we have bigger fish to fry today.
Yes.
As if you neither or any of you don't know out there, Kyle and myself are we buy the NHL video game every year and are junkies when it comes to the video game. Spend way too many hours than maybe we should on on these games over the years, especially in franchise mode. And back when they used to have the GM connected mode, we had a lot of fun with that. And myself, I played in 6v6 World of Shell leagues and that over the years. Very diehard into that stuff as well, and a little bit of Hut before it, kind of gets me angry, and I have to play against guys with 99 overall teams. But yeah, we're NHL video game junkies, as you could probably call us. Mm-hmm. Kyle, what as far as stuff that you're looking forward to not seeing anymore, I'm really glad that they are revamping the franchise mode and most likely the commentary.
I mean, yeah. Again, this is another year of Chell, another year of disappointment, I think, for us, especially because every single year since transferring over to the new gen console, which is now Xbox One, which is about to be the old gen starting next year, we've been wanting GM Connected to come back literally every year. And every year they start releasing information. I'm always sitting there on the edge of my seat going, okay, waiting to read that part that they're saying bring GM Connected back, because every other EA game has franchise connected, like online franchise mode, but NHL.
Yeah,
I don't understand how hard it is to put that feature in the game. Get rid of the useless features in the game that no one plays, like the C8, like the Champions Hockey League. Like, who the hell plays that? Who's sitting there playing an entire season of Champions Hockey League? Like, no one's sitting there and buying the game like, oh, I can't wait to use that Swedish team from the SHL. No one's doing that. Your main audience is over here.
I mean, every year we always go through the menus and of all the game modes that they have, and always can cut out like 5 or 6 that they realistically could just replace with GM Connected. And if their excuse is that they don't want to put all the time and effort into it, they could just pick up the phone and call their EA buddies over at the Madden or FIFA headquarters and just say, hey, how do you guys work? Like, how would you guys recommend us doing this? Because you guys obviously do it quite well. And I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard for the same company to, give
That's what I mean.
another series.
A war between the Chell people and the Madden people. I'm I highly doubt there's something going on there. They can. I'm guaranteed they share information with each other, and I don't know what it is. I mean, we could sit here and speculate all day, but it's a shame because I really think from what I read, all the comments every single year on whether it's Facebook or Twitter, it's always people are like, "Is GM Connected coming back? Why isn't GM Connected not coming back? I'm not buying this game because GM Connected is not coming back." Like, I don't understand. It's a high demand.
Like, I understand it takes a lot of commitment, but if done the right way, there are diehard fans like ourselves that would want, and I know a lot of our friends that would play in this league with us, and it would just be so much easier for us to play all in the same time if we had a mode like that.
It's almost like they're taking it as we're telling them to get rid of HUT. No, we know HUT's your money grab. It's the what's making you money. Keep it. I don't care. Just give us GM Connected. Give us something else within the game to enjoy. And a high demand. You're going to get more sales in games when you add that feature in. I guarantee you'll make twice as much as you would.
Maybe they're going to save that for the new gen console as the big selling pitch for us to buy that game and that console.
Anyways,
but yeah,
you said, yeah, I'm excited. It's definitely they went a different way this year. They got rid of the whole NBC presentation and went a different direction, went basically like their own kind of style of presentation. Franchise mode got a big overhaul, which is awesome because I love that feature. Me and Brandon love playing the franchise mode and doing some challenges. Like right at the end of Chell 19, we did like an LA Kings challenge where we had to rebuild the Los Angeles Kings with those horrible contracts. So it's fun to use franchise mode for different things, not just sitting there and playing it, but it's fun, like making an expansion team and going through that process. I think they've done that pretty well over the years. I'm loving the challenges that me and Brandon to figure out what to do. Like, I love that you can do a lot more than just play franchise mode. You can do a lot within it. And it looks like they've added a lot more with it, including the scouting and coaching system. So
yeah. So do you want to jump right into that with the franchise mode stuff?
Let's do it. Dive into franchise mode.
All right. So quickly, I want to give a shout out to Nhl Sports Cards on Drummond Road near McLeod Road for all your sports cards and gaming card needs. Kyle, what do you got for franchise mode this year?
Well, our boy Gern Sumal touched base on this. He's one of the game modes producers at NHL 20. Don't know who the hell Gern Sumal is, but he's that guy. I guess they've introduced the new scouting system this year. They wanted to build upon introducing that with coaches into franchise mode. They said that now by adding coaches, it's allowed us to add additional features such as line chemistry, which I believe they had it in the game a while back. I think they might be, but I think it was in HUT. But now where they're introducing it into franchise mode, they have a brand new conversion system or conversation system, which is awesome because if you've ever played Shell and you play franchise mode and the stupid meetings you've had, they're so dumb. And they do nothing for line chemistry and morale. That's why I always turn morale off all the time. So.
The morale, it ends up positively affecting half the team and then negatively affecting the rest of the team. So you can't win ever on that.
I'm having a meeting with one player, and if I say something wrong, how is that affecting the entire team? I don't get that. But anyways, and there's a new scouting report system, which I love. I'm all about the scouting. That's my thing in Shell franchise, so I'm loving that they're improving the scouting reports. All these features are tying back to the coaching staff of the team that affect the meta of the building of the team. In addition, we've added some smaller quality of life features, such as a trade finder. Yes! I've been waiting for this. You have no idea. Because looking for trades is so annoying and such a long process that now they've added a trade feature, which I'll get into. But first we'll start with the coaches, which I'm excited for. I'm loving this coaches feature. So they want to add as much depth as possible. They say that we have a wide variety of fantasy coaches that are generated at the beginning of franchise mode. Much like scouts, coaches will have their own set of ratings and roles. But in addition, they will have to deal with morale and staff chemistry. As for ratings, coaches have broken down to 6 rating attributes. They have offense, defense, power play, penalty kill, teaching, and influence. That's sick. I love that. So you're looking for like a new coach for your team. You can see like, oh, this coach is really good in offense, but he lacks the defensive part of the game. You know what I mean? You have to look for that really good coach, and you might have to sacrifice some things to get that really good coach. Like, he could have a really good power play, but his penalty kill is atrocious. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I'm loving that they're adding this into it. Each of these distinct impact the team. The offense, defense, power play, penalty kill attributes have direct impact on the gameplay and game simulations. If you choose to, like me, I like to simulate a lot of the road games, so it affects those games too. Teaching can grow or stunt a player's development, so that's also one thing you have to look for in the one attribute for the coach, which is teaching. If he has a poor teaching, your rookies that you draft are gonna get stunted in growth. So I love that they're like this. I love it. It's really in depth, but I also enjoy stuff like that. So it's bringing a different side to franchise mode, which is more like realistic.
No, I definitely I think having the coaches being able to affect the game, even in the sim, is very good. And they said that, I believe in the video that I watched, they said they're going to have 100 different coach heads, so you're going to be able to, and as
you
well,
actually see them in the game. It's not like you play a game and then you have a different coach every other game. It's like, what
Yeah.
the hell's going on?
Yeah, and apparently when NHL players retire, they can become coaches, and then they'll have their head still in the game as them as a coach.
Yeah, because they did that with
Scouts.
but they were scouts, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, that's cool. Like, you named them a scout, but you can't really do anything. It's not going to affect anything.
No.
They also said that they've added the Jack Adams Trophy, so your coach can actually win that. That's pretty cool.
No, finally.
The coaches' morale. So the coaches, by adding coaches, it allows us to revamp the player morale. Good. By adding 4 different morale meters, which combine to affect both on and off ice components of the game. So the morales are team performance, management, coaching staff, and player relationships. So you can actually see how your coach is going with the morale of the team. He has best coach chemistry with a certain player. Who are the players that they have best chemistry with, and which player has a low chemistry rating with the coach. So that's pretty cool. Or coaching staff. I guess they've improved interviews, which I'm glad to see. The line chemistry thing is interesting.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah.
So I think there was a picture of it. Yeah, here, but they're showing the Vancouver Canucks. Shocker there. And they show like Bo Horvat, and he has like a +1 with his line chemistry, and it shows on the right like the types of things that he likes to do. And if it lines with the coaching staff, then you get like a check mark if he's like indifferent about it, or if he's in like a complete X if he doesn't fit that role. And there's also like ice time allocations. So if your coach likes to run 4 lines, I mean, this guy seems like Mike Babcock, but liking to hit his 4th line out there a lot, but. Yeah,
this is cool. This is really cool because usually what you're doing in Shell regularly in franchise mode is you're building your team from line 1 to 4 overall based. Like, your top overall players are usually going to play in the first line. Then you know what? You tier yourself down. This allows you to not play that way. You can have like an 85 overall player, but he has the best line chemistry with the people on the 3rd line. So, you're kind of almost forced to play that way if you want your team to succeed.
Yeah, I can't just go out and get the top franchise elite players and put them on lines 1 to 3 anymore.
Yeah, so I'm loving that aspect to it and how the schemes are the scheme fit plays into it as well.
And it also affects player overalls as well. Mm-hmm. If he's not liking the coaches, his potential and his overall are going to be affected negatively. But if he fits in the scheme well and that coach fits that type of coaching style where like he can develop players, then it will improve his potential.
Scouting reports have been improved, which I'm all about those. This year you'll be able to use our scouting reports to find players. We have 2 new amateur scouting reports and 2 new pro scouts. The pro scout assignment is very important as it's the best way to determine if players fit your coach's scheme. Now this is interesting because I turned pro scouts off in Chell 19 because they were useless. I hate having to like look at another team and say, okay, I'm not seeing Brock Nelson's full potential because I have to scout him. I hate having to scout NHL players too.
Didn't they call it Fog of War or something like that?
Yeah, so they kind of revamped it here. Now they're making a use of it because you have to use your pro scouts because you have to see what your other players out there go match your coach's scheme. So I love how they've done that. That's really, really smart. You want to get a player at a low overall rating that fits your scheme than a player with a high overall rating that doesn't fit your scheme. So you know what I mean? Like, you can go out and get, I don't know, like, let's say like a Sven Baertschi for all intents and purposes here, and he's an 82 overall on the Vancouver Canucks. But he's on your team at 85 because he fits your coach's scheme. So I love the way they do that. I love that.
Yep. So in other words, what's his name? Oh my God, Frederick Gauthier would be like a 90 overall in Mike Babcock's scheme.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he'd probably be an 80 on the Leafs, but in like a 92 on the Arizona Coyotes. So, like,
sure.
But as for amateur reports, we have added. It's called NHL ETA and Scheme Fit. The NHL ETA gives the user a better idea of when a player may be ready to compete in the NHL. So they've added an ETA on the people you draft to let you know, like, okay, this guy's probably going to be ready by year 3. I love that.
That's way easier when you're trying to decide on guys. Maybe you have 2 guys you want to choose, and maybe he's not going to be able to, or there's not a spot in the lineup for him, and you think, okay, I'm going to take a guy that might be ready a few years down the road. Or you look at it, it's like, I need a guy now, my team's pretty bad, and you look at a guy that's
high second-round picks.
Yeah, and you need a guy that's NHL ready, and you take that guy instead of the guy that's going to take 3 or so years to develop. I like that a lot. I agree with that.
And they've added a scheme fit report into it that gives you a breakdown of the strategies the prospects likes to play, giving you the information needed to get the player that can fit your scheme. So not only does it show you what style of play they love to play, it matches it to what your coach's scheme is, so you can also draft the right player as well.
Mm-hmm. Some players don't fit certain schemes, so.
I mean, a lot of people would say that's really in depth, but to me, that's perfect, because now now the draft actually means something. It's not like just scouting a player and, oh yeah, he's going to be a high overall, so I'm going to draft him right away, because it means nothing. Like, I love how they're making you think about who you're going to draft. So I'm loving that. This is another decision point for the user to make when drafting players. Will you reach to take the player that fits your scheme, or do you take the best pick available? Love that. Absolutely love that.
You actually have a choice now.
Yeah. You're not just picking the best available just for the sake of getting the best team out there. You're picking players that fit your scheme. You're picking players that, that are going to like, you decide, like, okay, I have enough rookies in my prospect pool. I'm going to start drafting players that are going to be ready 4 years down the line. Mm-hmm. So I love that. They added the trade finder. This is the big thing. I love this.
Yes. I saw that in the video.
I've been pissed with other NHL games because sitting there on the deadline day trying to go through every team's freaking who's on the block and just trying to fit the right player for the right player and
sit in the trade screen for hours on end.
Yeah, trying to go through each team what they want. This is awesome. So Trade Finder. NHL 20 has introduced the Trade Finder, which allows users to make trades faster without having to go back and forth with trade proposals between teams. Thank you. You can now select the assets you want in the trade and get offers for them. So you select an offer, like say, like it has a picture here, like you want to give away Louis Eriksson in a first. It'll find a trade for you. So in this screen, for some reason, it found the Ottawa Senators are willing to give Tyler Ennis in a third.
Yeah, because it's a salary dump trade, so the Ottawa can obviously take it on, but they want the first round pick back for it.
Yeah, you can now select assets you want to trade and go get offers for them. So you can also pick players from other teams to discover their asking price. So that's cool. So you can say, okay, what's the asking price for, I don't know, let's say Ottawa, Tyler Ennis, and they'll tell you what they want for him. Mm-hmm. This has made trading a lot more accessible and faster. However, the traditional trade system is still available to players if they want to still continue that way, which, no thanks, I won't.
Come on, you don't want to sit there and go through everybody's players that they want to dump?
I don't know. They've made some other changes which are pretty cool. Points /G trade value mod. This gives players the trade value boost or penalties based on how they are performing during the year. Mm-hmm. Players playing well can be traded for more value in trades or vice versa. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it actually affects, if they get 80 or 90 points, it actually affects their trade value and or their contracts going into the next season if they have
you go to a team like Patrick Kane has for this purpose has 2 goals by the deadline only. And then they have like Artem Anisimov, who has 50 goals. Artem Anisimov is going to have more overall trade value than Patrick Kane. So it's crazy that that's going to affect that in some way. There's performance-based salaries, which is pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Players who do exceptionally well will ask for a lot of money, and In some sims, players reaching a 100-point mark are going to ask for $10 million. In other sims, the same players with a sub 1 point goal or a point per game can ask for $8 million. This should fix the issue where players who are in the minors are ask for $2 million plus without ever playing in the NHL.
Yeah.
I've ran into that problem a lot.
Yeah, Lafreniere was one of them. Like, he would be in 85 and want like $4 million, and he's still in junior.
Yeah.
You know?
Teams will now put bad contracts on the trading block to free up cap space. If in RFA, player wants a contract extension and they don't have any cap space. So that's pretty cool. So that the other teams are going to be smarter. Like, the other teams' GMs are going to be smarter and say, okay, we need to salary dump to sign a contract extension. We're putting this guy up on the block. Goalies are now worth less than skaters in regards to trade value, as we've improved the goalie signing and trading logic in free agency. Thank you very much, because there are times where you go through free agency and you look at the rosters of other teams, and some teams have no goalies whatsoever. And then there'll be other teams that have 3 starting goalies. Where's the logic in that? It's like the Chicago Blackhawks will have Crawford, Marc-Andre Fleury, and Vasilevsky, and then Tampa Bay will just have Louis Domingue, and that's it.
No, or they'll have a bunch of like AHL goalies, and you go and sign them a goalie to trade them because you feel so bad that they don't even have an NHL caliber goalie on their roster.
I ran that problem a lot. I'm like, hey, this is like not fair. Why does this team have 3 starting goalies that are not playing? I don't understand. So that's pretty cool. Players with 1 left in their deals will have less value as the season goes on, so that's interesting. So at the trade deadline, players with 1 year left will be less than full value at the NHL draft.
Oh, I can see people taking advantage of that.
Players with bad value can be traded with additions of sweeteners to a trade. Increase the bad contract mod, so players with bad contracts require a lot to be added so a team will accept the trade. So that's cool. So you can't just give someone with a bad contract who has a lot of trade value and then the team will accept it right away. They'll see that it's a bad contract and want you to add more. So that's pretty cool.
That makes it more realistic. I mean, that's what's happening in the real NHL right now.
They've added exception contracts to the game, so players in the QMJHL, WHL, OHL don't count towards the 50-man roster.
Yay!
That was annoying as hell. There was one point where I had literally like 4 or 5 people in junior, and it filled my roster. I couldn't put anyone else.
So it actually has a separate contract, kind of, what do you call it? Like count, because it has like a 50-man contract, and then underneath it has your like junior contracts count, which is good.
They've added a trade alert pop-up that stops the sim if someone in the league makes a big trade. So you can choose whether to turn that on or off. That's kind of cool, because I've always wondered like what other teams are trading with each other.
Yeah, it's like, how did this guy?
How did he end up on this team?
And I think they're also doing that for coach firings as well. Like if a coach gets fired from another team, you can stop and see that.
They've added a sim engine scoring setting, increases scoring or decreases scoring based on the setting, high, medium, or low. The default is set to medium. So you choose whether you want to do with that. Wingers are now worth less than centers and defensemen. Thank you very much. Because it's so bad seeing a right winger that's like an 85 overall that's worth more than a center that's at 90. That drove me nuts. We decreased scouting efficiency, so now you won't have a full info on a draft eligible. On all the draft eligible at the end of the year. This should stop users from stacking elite players in the NHL draft.
Aw, damn it.
They actually tuned down the number of elite and franchise potential goalies in the draft, because I found that this year there was a ton.
4th and 5th round.
Yeah, like even late round you can find a franchise goalie. It was weird. They tuned, but it was like almost every year too. They tune the distribution of medium-grade prospects so that they'll be a little more hit and miss. They've added scout recommendations to view draft class screen. They tune the trade blocks of CPU teams want and gives. They've added original placement to the draft lottery pop-up. So that's interesting. Added original placements. Added a add contract year setting for expansion custom roster flow. and added an auto owner mode setting, which takes care of arena maintenance. Thank God. Because you would put like owner mode on, but then like you didn't want to do all that other stuff. Then like it was weird. You put owner mode on and put auto finances, but you would still have to keep up with the arena maintenance. That was annoying. But now there's an auto one, so it'll do it for you. Thank God. So that's
the arena maintenance that was kind of tedious.
Weird, like fixing the bathrooms, and I'm like, why is my upper deck getting destroyed so easily? Like, what are they doing?
What are they doing up there?
Are they ripping the seats out? Like, what's going on? Why do I have to pay so much money every goddamn year to fix my damn arena?
Yeah, I usually just turned the owner mode off. It was just it was more of a hassle than it was fun.
Yeah, so that was a big overall with franchise, which is cool.
Oh, there's a lot. Like, there's so much things that you would discuss that, like, is great. Like, it's about time they revamped it and added some things. Every year, it's basically the same thing over and over again, and that we have the same, frustrations about things that are going on, like, the morale thing, or not having coaches, just going out and getting the best players, the increased scouting, pro scouts meaning nothing. Like, there's a ton that they've actually addressed, and I'm actually happy that they've done this, because it's a big selling point for them, and I feel like besides HUT, like, this is their, and World of Chell, like, they need this game mode to succeed, or the casual gamer isn't going to buy the game.
Right. So it looks pretty sweet. I'm actually pumped for franchise mode. So.
Oh yeah, so they're giving us a reason to spend the $80 on the game this year.
Exactly. We're not even done.
No. But I think before we go into our next segment, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we'll be right back here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano, serving Italian pizzas made with the freshest, top-quality ingredients. Loaded subs and our famous chicken wings, winners of the 2017 Reader's Choice Awards, and the brand-new recipients of the 2019 Reader's Choice Diamond Award from Niagara this week for Best Pizza in Niagara Falls. Open daily, located on the corner of Drummond Road and Dunn Street. Available for call-ahead pickup or delivery. 905-374-4400. Debit and credit accepted for both. You've tried the rest. It's time to try us. Carmine's Pizzeria Italiano. Attention job seekers. If you're currently looking for work in the Niagara region, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls. Free services include resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, community resource and referral information, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, second career information and registration assistance, and check out our available workshops under our events calendar on our website for more details at www.ehc.on.ca. The Niagara Employment Help Center. Marcel Dion Inc. Come in and check out our store and meet Marcel Dion himself. We have wall-to-wall NFL, MLB, and NHL licensed products and all kinds of collectibles. We specialize in autographed sports memorabilia. If you don't see what you're looking for, just ask and we'll find it for you. So next time you need a great gift idea for that sports fanatic in your life, or you need to add to your own collection, come visit us first. You won't be disappointed. 905-357-7678, Marcel Dion Inc. Chip and Charlie's, it's where the locals go. Fun, friendly, and entertaining staff. You're not just a customer, you're family. Lots of TVs, amazing food, and always a great time. Open daily 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Call 905-371-3428 for inquiries and reservations. Chip and Charlie's, it's where the locals go. Mid-City Motors Niagara, your premium source for pre-owned vehicles. Financing and leasing for all types of credit. Check them out at 4460 Drummond Road, Niagara Falls, or at mcmniagara.com. They are also happy to announce Mid-City Mechanic is now open. They can repair, maintain, and service all makes and models of vehicles. Conveniently located behind Mid-City Motors at Drummond Road and Perkins Street. They will be happy to help you keep your car on the road. 905-371-2277. That's Mid-City Motors and Mid-City Mechanic. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network. All right, guys, welcome back to the Under Review podcast right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. I'm your host, Cappy, along with my co-host, Kyle. We're here discussing the upcoming NHL 20 video game release and discussion about the new features going on in the game. In the first portion of the show, Kyle did a great job of explaining to us the upcoming franchise mode edition, so really looking forward to that as hardcore franchise mode players. Although we wish, connected franchise would come back, but at least this is a step in the right direction with all the changes they made to the coaching overhaul, line management, scouting, trade finder, and all those great things. So
I hope so.
Yes. So Kyle, for the second part, do we want to go through some little minor things that are going on here? Maybe like we got the soundtrack, we've got the overhauled announcing.
We'll start the soundtrack. Why not?
Okay.
So the soundtrack looks okay. I've listened to a few songs already. There's some I'm like, okay, sound good, and there's the ones like there's always a couple of those Chelsea songs where you're like, hey, those are going to be the annoying ones throughout the year where you're like, I really wish this song was not in the game. So there's a couple of those already. I'm like, okay, well, it wouldn't be a Chell game without them.
Nope.
But there's a lot of featured artists on here. Some I've never heard of before in my entire life, so I apologize if you know who it is, and I don't know. But we'll start. The first one is Borrowed WLN, or Barlow WLN.
Barlone.
Yeah, Barlone. We have Barnes Courtney. The Black Keys, heard of them.
Yeah, always making an appearance for the Black Keys.
We have the Black Futures. Catfish and the Bottlemen, I've heard of them. Heard a couple of their songs. They're pretty good. We have Dom Howard. Never heard of Dom Howard. Fitz and the Tantrums. We have Havaya Mighty. Hobo Johnson.
I don't have a good feeling about that one.
Yeah. Il Blue X ZZ, but ZZ is spelled ZIEZIE.
Not ZZ Top.
No. Jaguar Twin. Judah and the Lion. K. Flay. Motionless in White. I believe I've heard one of their songs before. This was a good song. A song about this band, Of Monsters and Men. The song that's in the game, that's probably my favorite song of the soundtrack. Really good song. Pup. Just P-U-P. Pup. Rival Sons. I've heard of them. Silver Sun Pickups. A band called SWMRS.
Swimmers, I guess.
Swimmers, I guess, yeah. Ex-Ambassadors. Heard of them before.
They've had a song in Shell before.
Yeah, and the last band, Yonaka.
Okay, Yonaka.
Yeah. Yonaka.
So if you're a fan of any of those bands, they will each have songs in the NHL 20 soundtrack. No Panic at the Disco this year.
No high hopes.
Darn. No.
I love that song. It was my win song for my custom team. I guess another little thing is they've announced the Nordic cover athletes.
Yes.
For Sweden and Finland. Playing for the Vancouver Canucks and winning the Calder Trophy and as NHL Rookie of the Year, Elias Pettersson is one of the biggest hockey talents in the world. And now he graces the cover of NHL 20 alongside of the many greatest players in the world as the Swedish cover athlete for NHL 20. We have a quote from Elias Pettersson. As a lifelong fan of EA Sports NHL, it's a tremendous thrill for me to appear on the cover of NHL 20. Playing in the NHL has been a dream come true, and it feels great to follow up my rookie season with this huge honor. He basically gave the generic answer. So good for him. I've heard he's actually been training hard this summer, saying he's a lot faster, which is scary, and he's a lot more stronger. So he's sure to bounce back and have another great season, Elias Pettersson.
So my question is that one day if Elias Pettersson becomes good enough to be put on the regular cover, would they do something like that, or would they say, okay, you've already been on the Nordic cover? Does that really count?
Like, I don't know how that works.
Is it kind of like, I don't know, like, I'm sure there's been a European player that's been on a cover.
Both?
Yeah, at some point. Because obviously I think they they think that the main cover should be, the more popular player, and in this case, Austin Matthews in Toronto Maple Leafs, of course.
Damn right.
But if Pettersson was able to become on the NHL, would they say that he's a 2-time cover athlete, or would they say that it doesn't really count for the Nordic covers?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
So we had another one. EA announces Patrick Laine, who still doesn't not really bet with the Jets, which this would suck if he didn't end up with the Jets, and now he's on the cover of the game with a Jets jersey. This might be one of those double cover issues. Patrick Laine is on the cover of NHL 20 in Finland. This recognition makes Laine the first hockey player to star on NHL covers for 2 consecutive years in a row. So I guess he was on Finland's last year, which I didn't know.
Boo.
Well, there answers your question right there.
Yeah. Mikko Rantanen got hosed. I'm just going to say it right now. I don't know how you can't put that guy on the cover of Finland. Like, he had an unbelievable season. And Laine,
I agree, but, how can you put either of them on the team who haven't even signed contracts yet? We don't know if they're going to be on the teams.
Hey, they should be they shouldn't have Winnipeg or Colorado jerseys. They should have suits.
Yeah, might as well.
Just put...
You should have Laine, in his, before he was drafted interview, just lying on the floor with the camera up on his face.
Sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like Laine 2 years in a row, I don't think he really deserved it this year. But the way it went with the 3 cover athletes, they picked all Canadian teams this year with the Leafs, the Jets, and the Canucks. So
That's
I don't know if
pretty
they did
cool.
that on I don't know if they did that on purpose, but it just the way it went.
I like that.
Yeah, so those are for you if you want to go get a Swedish or Finland cover, there you go.
I don't know how that works. You probably have to order online.
Yeah. I don't even want the cover of this shit. For any of you that don't know, I collect every single NHL cover since the 2001 season, and I really don't even want to get this year as Austin Matthews is on the cover of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to buy a cover with a Toronto Maple Leafs player on it, unfortunately. Right. And then put that cover away and never hopefully see it again. But I want to give a shout-out to the Ridge Film House, a licensed theater in the heart of beautiful Ridgeway, a truly unique movie-going experience. So I've got kind of a cool thing here. Well, I'll discuss this after we go over the overall. So now we have the player overalls were announced or the highest player overalls were announced for the game itself. So Kyle, do you have the
I have the list? I have the top 50 list.
Okay.
So we'll go through 88 and then up.
Okay, yeah. Go ahead with that.
50th is 88. So the class of 88. Call it.
You get an 88. We get an 88. Yeah. Everybody gets an 88.
The following players are 88 overall in this year's Chell game: Dylan Larkin, Frederick Anderson, which I don't agree with. I think that's a 90. Just saying. PK Subban, Sebastian Aho, Jonathan Huberdeau, Morgan Rielly, Jack Eichel, Phil Kessel, and Jonathan Toews. That's your class of 88.
I think Jack Eichel's a little bit underrated there, but there might be a little biased in that statement. But go ahead.
Class of 89 is a big class. Braden Point, shocking. Alex Pietrangelo, John Carlson, Braden Holtby, Mitchell Marner, Artemi Panarin, Leon Draisaitl, Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele, Claude Giroux, Mark Giordano, Anze Kopitar, Ryan O'Reilly, Vladimir Tarasenko, Taylor Hall, and Tyler Seguin.
Okay.
Interesting class.
You're going to tell me, I appreciate how good of a player Blake Wheeler is, but really, are you going to tell me that he's better than Jack Eichel as far as his all-around skills?
Mm-hmm. At
this point in his career?
Exactly.
I don't know. What
that was a questionable rating, I'd say.
The other one that you Ryan O'Reilly, the guy did win unfortunately he did win every trophy on the Sun this year after leaving Buffalo, but I don't know about that one. His skating isn't the greatest, so I don't know how they gave him the 89 rating when his skating really probably is going to be like an 85 or 86.
Mm-hmm. Go to class of 90. And there's a lot in the 90. David Pastrnak, which is good. That's agreeable. Brent Burns, Sergei Bobrovsky, Tuukka Rask, Erik Karlsson, Johnny Gaudreau, Mikko Rantanen with a high 90. That's pretty good. John Tavares, Brad Marchand, John Gibson, Austin Matthews, yeah. Alexander Barkov, Patrice Bergeron, Steven Stamkos, and Evgeny Malkin. Malkin still hitting the high 90s.
Well, he hit a 90.
Yeah,
he's going down, but come on, Matthews 2 overalls better than Jack Eichel, please.
Ooh.
I'm not even gonna discuss that because that's asinine.
Fair.
That is ridiculous. Not only is Matthews, I'm not. You know what? I'm not even. We'll get into that in another round. I'm sure we're gonna have enough Eichel and Matthews debates when the season actually gets going. I don't want to get into it right now. All I'm gonna say is, I mean, I know Matthews is the cover athlete, but how can you say that Jack Eichel's only an 88 compared to Matthews in 90? I'm just throwing that out there.
I'll have to agree. I think they both should be 90.
But you can continue with the top 10.
So 91s, there's only 5 here. So 91, we're in the top 10 right now. So Carey Price, 91. Vasilevsky, 91. Drew Doughty, 91. Victor Hedman, 91. And Patrick Kane, 91.
I mean, yeah, Carey Price still deserves that. I mean, just because he has had a few down years and his team hasn't been great. I mean, he's still one of the world-class goalies, so good for him getting that rating. Drew Doughty and Hedman, ooh.
Debatable. I'd put Hedman, he's had a slow years. I would have brought him down to an 88, 89 this year. And Doughty, maybe 89, 90. 91 seems still pretty. I know it's only 1 overall. It's still pretty high, though.
Well, especially when he's like over Brent Burns and Erik Karlsson still. I mean, I don't know, the way that LA is trending, maybe they just felt bad and figured they needed to give somebody a high overall.
The end of the top 5.
Okay.
So starting at number 5 with a 92 overall, Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah, deserved.
Well deserved. At number 4 with a 92 overall, Alex Ovechkin.
You telling me he didn't get 100 like he wanted in...
He's never going to get that 100.
like he wanted a few years ago in that video.
Number 3, Nikita Kucherov. 92.
I think his overall should have been about an 83 for getting bounced in the first round by Columbus. Just saying.
Oof.
No, the guy led the league in points and won the Hart Trophy this year. Obviously, he deserves to be in that.
And finally, stepping down off the pedestal from the top player in the game for like the last decade, Sidney Crosby is officially down to a 93 overall.
Only a 93.
Yeah. But for being a 96 for like the last majority of how many years, he just dropped down to a 93.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he gave himself a few years ago, so maybe he's happy with that.
And deservingly so, the best player in the game, Connor McDavid at number 1 with a 94 overall. With potential to grow since he's still young in the game and he's still considered a franchise player in 1 year's time that could become a freaking 98 overall. So
yeah, well, as long as Edmonton continues to not stunt his development and hopefully he stays off the injured list.
Right.
But I mean, it's a pretty good list. I mean, it looks like they went heavy with the 88s for some reason.
Yeah.
And they
high 80s, yeah.
I feel, and there are some years where players get up to like 95, 96. I feel like they were kind of harsh on some of the players this year. Like a Crosby or those types of guys. I feel like you could even say that they're like 94, 95. McDavid, I'm sure after 1 year of franchise mode will be like a 96 or 97 anyway. So I guess they couldn't shoot for the stars too much there. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, besides a few snubs to Jack Eichel and just name a few there, I think it's pretty reasonable. I think they did a pretty good job this year with the ratings.
I agree.
They also announced. Sorry,
if your young stud on your team and you're listening to this is not in that top 50, they give it like a couple years. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's your players can get up into that.
Yep.
Just because your young stud is not in the top 50 right away, give it a couple years of franchise mode. And...
I mean, they don't really deserve to be that high after, like, if they come into the first year, like, do they really need to be a 90 already?
Right.
But Steinhaus Construction, 905-359-8897. Steinhaus Construction on Instagram and steinhausconstruction@gmail.com. Some other notable players whose overalls have been announced. For whatever reason, Matt Zuccarello's was announced at an 84. Pierre-Luc Dubois from the Columbus Blue Jackets is an 85.
He was kind of pissed at that, wasn't he?
Yeah, some younger players. Jack Hughes, the first overall pick of the New Jersey Devils, is only an 82, which I'm okay with. I don't think people should be coming in the league at 85 overall before they've even played a game. That defeats the whole purpose of that scouting engine that they were talking about. So I'm glad they didn't contradict themselves.
The franchise mode with the New Jersey Devils, and he automatically doesn't fit the scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, John Hines, you're cut.
Yeah.
Capo Caco, the second overall pick to the New York Rangers, is an 81, so I think that's fair. Rasmus Dahlin, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Brady Tkachuk, second-year players. Dahlin's an 85, Kotkaniemi's an 82, and Brady Tkachuk's an 82. So Dahlin's already an 85 in year 2. Finally, giving some love to some Buffalo players. It's about time.
Good.
And others announced so far, for whatever reason, Gabriel Landeskog is an 87, Nazem Kadri now in the Colorado Avalanche, so his overall instantly had to go down because he's no longer on the Toronto Maple Leafs. So he's down to an 84. And Bo Horvat of the Vancouver Canucks is an 86. If you watched the video, you saw the Vancouver Canucks whole lineup there. Also announced, I don't know if you were able to catch any of this, the NHL 20 Alumni Teams.
Ooh.
So we're going to have alumni teams. I'm not sure if they're going to be a full squad or it's going to be like a 3s squad type thing. But so far they've announced like 3 or 4 players from certain teams. I know they've announced a lot more, but on this article here, we've got the Quebec Nordiques, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Detroit Red Wings. Quebec's going to have Peter Stastny, Peter Forsberg, and Joe Sakic. Wow.
Ooh.
It's a great lineup. Chicago's going to have Jeremy Roenick, Stan Mikita, and Chris Chelios. And Detroit's going to have also Chris Chelios, Gordie Howe, Nick Lidstrom, and Pavel Datsyuk. And all their overalls are probably 88 to mid or high 90s. So they're going to have those in the game as well. So I think that's pretty cool, having some alumni teams in the game, given like another cool little feature there. I like that a lot. Given a throwback to maybe some old vintage Chell teams. If you ever go back and play like NHL 03 or 04, for instance, and you see these guys, you're like, how are these guys like an 88 or 89 overall? Yeah. And you laugh at it and just say, I would love to have like that come back, like players, like NHL players from the past. I know Madden did that in HUT, where they inputted players from certain years when they were really good overalls and things like that. So cool. I would like to see that come back somewhat.
Mm-hmm.
Dixon Accounting Tax Services, 905-374-1503 or dixonaccounting.com. Kyle, I don't know if you saw any of these, but we have some NHL players reacting to their player overall since we're on the subject.
I saw a couple. Some are hilarious.
So I've got some of the tweets up here. Matt Zuccarello talked about his 84 overall. He said, it's crazy to me how at Mika Zibanejad, his former teammate on the New York Rangers, has a higher, because his English still isn't the greatest, broken. I guess, has a higher rating than me when I have been carrying him on my back the last 2 to 3 years. Life is unfair sometimes, I guess, at EA Sports NHL. Taking a shot at Mika Zibanejad for his overall being so low and apparently carrying him on his back. So, shoutouts to Zuccarello. Pierre-Luc Dubois also reacted to it. He made a reference to The Office. I've been underestimated my entire life. Well, maybe next time EA NHL you will estimate me. Okay. So for you Office fans out there, I'm not one of them, but I guess that's a quote from the show. So Pierre-Luc Dubois throwing a Office shade at EA NHL for his rating. Next, we've got a few more. We got Vegas Golden Knights forward Mark Stone poked fun at his former Senators teammate Brady Tkachuk after advising Tkachuk to ask EA Sports to cover his head with a helmet. So they showed Brady Tkachuk, and he was helmetless, and Mark Stone said, "You should probably tell them to put your helmet back on." So, okay, Mark Stone. All right, man. I guess you were trying to be witty with that one. And by the way, this article is the article I'm reading right now is from thesportingnews.com. Alex Ovechkin, who's never never shy about talking about his NHL ratings, as if you've watched previous videos of him saying that he should be 100 overall. Alex Ovechkin tweeted, "I will take it, but next time I will be better." With
I will be better
with the crying emoji, like the cry laughing emojis.
Oh God!
So Ovechkin, he says, "I will take it, but next time I will be better." What about the last? He's been in the league since 2005 or 6, so in the game at least. So I'm sure he's had his fair share of high overalls. I'd love to go back and see the progression of Alex Ovechkin's NHL overall over the years. But I don't think he's ever going to get that 100 like he thinks that he's going to get. And he also doesn't think he's a left wing, because in that video a few years ago he says, "Oh, I'm left wing now." Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh, left wing. Okay.
Yeah. Lastly, we might as well end off with everybody's favorite Toronto Maple Leafs. Defenseman Morgan Rielly said that his rating could have been higher. Morgan Rielly on his rating, according to Luke Fox on Twitter, could have been higher, and this avatar, I thought it was decent. People thought it would look awful, so I took that as disrespect, but whatever.
Jesus.
So, and Morgan Rielly, he only has the A on his sweater there in Toronto, so maybe that's soon to be C. I'm surprised he didn't comment on something like that. I would have laughed at that. So I like
more class.
So NHL players can say all they want about, I don't care about my rating, but a lot of them do care about their rating, and a lot of them know their rating and voice their opinions on Twitter about their ratings, and some of them don't.
It's funny. I like it. They're all jokes, but it's funny. It almost sounds like some of them actually care about their rating.
I think the lower overall guys in like the low 80s are like, "Oh, come on, I deserve to be at least in the high 80s."
Always love to see it's always the one lowest rated player in the game. He always tweets out. I think it's the same guy every year too. I think he's on the San Diego Gulls. He's like a 48 overall.
I know Lundqvist in the video was saying something like, the people played the game and told me I'm always back in my I was out in my crease, which doesn't make sense because I'm always like way back in my crease. So
yeah,
they didn't scout my game properly. So I like that though. I like when the NHL players get involved with the NHL game and the ratings and stuff. I always think that's pretty funny. I think before we get into our last segment of the show, we're going to take our second commercial break, and we'll be right back here on the Under Review podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network. The Blue Line Diner is Niagara's leading breakfast restaurant. Great food, great service, and where else can you see one of the NHL's greatest players having coffee and conversation with patrons? Of course, Marcel Dion Inc. is located directly next door, and Marcel is always in and out of the restaurant, talking to the kids and the fans that walk through the doors. Open Tuesday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. 289-296-8785, the Blue Line Diner, located on Montrose Road, Niagara Falls. Simply Fit Health Club, real 24-hour access, 7 days a week. Located at 6595 Drummond Road, Niagara Falls. A clean, modern facility with top-of-the-line equipment, a friendly and non-judgmental environment, free Wi-Fi, ample parking, and more. Come in and tour their facility anytime during their office hours, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturday 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Don't hesitate to stop in, no appointment necessary. They take pride in helping their members reach their health and fitness goals at their convenience and for the best possible price. For only $9.99 bi-weekly, members will get access to the state-of-the-art facility any day, anytime. What are you waiting for? At Simply Fit, there are no excuses, only results. Come see for yourself, 289-296-9535, or info at simplyfithealthclub.com. Simply Fit Health Club. Mcdavid, Niagara Falls' premier sports kitchen and bar. We're all about food, friends, and fun. Catch the game with us and grab a delicious bite to eat while enjoying a cold beer. Bus trips to sporting events, live music performances, and sports pools throughout the year. Open daily 11 a.m. to midnight and 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Mcdavid, Niagara Falls' premier sports kitchen and bar. Canadian Wrestling Figure Store. Check out their website at cwf.ecwid.com for the best selection in Canada for WWE Elites, Basics, and exclusive action figures. Free Canada-wide shipping on any order over $200. Enter the code ARMCHAIR at checkout so they know that we sent you to receive 10% off your order. Once again, that's Canadian Wrestling Figure Store at cwf.ecwid.com. Attention employers! Finding the right candidate to meet your hiring needs requires more than just posting an advertisement and waiting for a suitable candidate to apply. Let the Niagara Employment Help Center save you valuable time and money by making your hiring process easier. Free job postings, fill job vacancies quickly and efficiently, access to a bank of potential employees, reduce employment costs, all candidates will be pre-screened, job trials and placement incentives, and financial assistance may be applicable to offset the cost of training. Again, that's Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road, Niagara Falls. www.ehc.on.ca. You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network. All right, guys, welcome back to the final segment of our Under Review podcast, your September 6th edition. Right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, we're discussing NHL 20 video game news and new features to the game. In our first couple of segments, we discussed the player overalls, players reacting to their overalls, and as well as in-depth franchise look from Kyle. So, Kyle, what else do you want to talk about in our last segment about the game here? I've got
side note. I just got news that the NHL has hired their first ever female referees.
Ooh.
Referee Katie Guay, Kelly Koch, and I guess lineswoman Kristen Welsh and Kendall Henley are four of the 96 officials who participated at the NHL 2019 NHL Exposure Combine and have been selected to officiate the NHL 2019 rookie tournaments.
Good for them. And I know the Sharks just hired one of the U.S. Olympian players to their broadcast, I believe, on the radio side. So she's going to be commentating some of the games and on the panel.
I'm glad
and things
we're finally
like that.
adding more diversity in here, man. It's about time.
Yep, for sure. So, back to Chell for the NHL 20 video game coming out with Austin Matthews.
To talk about this.
Okay.
Yes, happy.
Yes.
Broadcast and presentation. Overhaul. Yes. Gone are the days now of the NBC presentation, which, you know, it made sense for a lot of you Americans. For us Canadians, we're like, huh? Like, we get it up here, but it's not like our daily thing.
We needed Don Cherry.
So Dave Pritchett, who is the presentations producer at NHL 20, he goes, "This year we've overhauled every aspect to our broadcast package, from the commentary to the graphics to the replay cameras and the intros and outros. Everything has been changed." So they revamped the commentary crew. This is interesting. When I first seen this, I'm like, oh boy, I don't know how this is going to work.
So Eddie Olczyk and Doc Emmerich are gone.
See you later, sayonara. Back into the going into the alumni section of the NHL 20 commentators. They have a new crew that brings new tone and energy level. I wouldn't call energy level something to our virtual booth. We have James Cybulski, of all people, as their new play-by-play announcer.
So for you people out there who don't know who James Cybulski is, he used to be a reporter for The Score back in the day before it was bought out by Sportsnet. So he... I guess he got hired by the NHL or EA crew to announce the NHL video game.
It's listed him here as a veteran sports broadcaster on TV and radio. Yep. He'll be joined by none other than Ray Ferraro, who was between the benches in previous games, but now he's in the commentary booth. Formerly the third commentator in previous years, is now a main color commentator. He brings even more of the insights from the 2 decades of playing in the NHL and expressing his opinions as a broadcaster on ESPN, NBC, and TSN. So, interesting. I'm interested to see how these two are going to work out. Okay.
That's how I feel about Ray Ferraro's compelling commentary.
I miss the days of Jim Houston and Craig Simpson, man. I wish it had just brought those two guys back.
I even like Gary Thorne. I like Gary Thorne a lot,
Gary
too.
Thorne, yeah.
Gary Thorne was good, but yeah, the nostalgia for us Canadians is Jim Houston and Craig Simpson. They were announcing the video games in the mid 2000s era, and then Gary Thorne took it over in around like NHL 08, I believe, until NHL. Whenever they brought in this NBC stuff, I think it was NHL 13 or so, 14.
The one thing, I don't know, did you ever play NHL 2K? Did you play the 2K games at all?
I played a very few of them.
I remember the one year, I don't know if it was the one year they always did, Bob Cole was on the commentary team for the one 2K game that I used to play all the time.
Really?
And 2Ks were awesome. Like, the gameplay was but is the graphics and presentation for a 2K were beyond anything. It was insane. Anyways, back to Shell here. Feel the energy. Current real-world hockey commentary can come across as a bit stuffy, especially to younger audiences who are used to hearing commentary that may sound more conversational, and less steeped in exciting tradition. Our commentary crew won't adhere to the thinking that hockey broadcasts will always need to be ultra serious. Our new commentary will be grounded in reality and will always be seen as plausible. We want real-life broadcasts to start emulating our new, more progressive style.
Oh, so they're trying to get away from what the NHL has always been, and that's, this prim and proper type of commentary where they're not allowed to have any fun.
That's what it was back in the day. Like, the old Shell games, they were more fun than serious, you know what I mean? Like, I remember back when it was Gary Thorne, like, they was more, like, they would, if you hear them, like, in between plays, they would add some comedy to it. So
yeah, you had Ray Ferraro for the last couple of years with his little jabs, but nothing too major. Yeah. Although you had, for whatever reason, Doc Emmerich, if you were playing franchise mode on a holiday game, he would come up with these terrible statements related to that specific holiday.
I don't know if they're going to continue that or not. We'll have to see. But creating chemistry. We're moving to a two-man booth, and we want our color commentator to be just as involved in calling the action while the play is ongoing as our play-by-play commentator. Traditional roles would see the color man hold back until a stoppage in play. This is not what we want. Instead, we will favor back and forth interaction between both men in the booth instead of the wall-to-wall commentary from just the play-by-play man.
Now, see, I totally didn't even realize this until I read it, and it makes a ton of sense. Like, going back and thinking about it, the color guy never said anything until the play stopped.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Like, I never like stopped and realized that, hey, it was just Doc Emmerich talking the whole play. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can't just have the play-by-play guy going the entire game, so it's about time they added something else in there.
Yeah. So they've achieved this chemistry by actually dramatically increasing their time in the recording booths for this game. With Sobalski and Ferraro based just minutes away from EA Vancouver, they were able to develop their tone together weekly in the studio. In NHL 19, we would only get about 30 hours of session time with our previous commentary team. This year, they spent over 10 times that amount in the booth to get the quantity and quality of commentary.
Well, of course, it was tough when Doc Emmerich and Eddie Olczyk were doing, NBC broadcasts. Yeah. They couldn't get out to Vancouver all that often. So, and James Sobalski, I'm pretty sure this is probably his full-time gig at the moment, so I'm sure he can put as many hours in as he wants.
Yeah. We encourage our commentators to always express opinions about players, teams, and hockey in general in order to provoke thought and debate. If a player isn't playing well, even if that player is you, our commentary team will let you know about it. Interesting. So, swaying away from the commentary, the new graphics package for NHL 20. They've revamped our entire graphics package. It's designed to be a higher energy and higher impact for players and viewers alike. It boldly celebrates your players and your team's big moments. The first thing we revisited was the score clock, which for years has lived in the top left corner of the screen. They've moved it to the bottom this year, just like a ticker you see on television. It spreads across the bottom of the screen. The immediate benefit is that all the screen real estate up at the top that's reclaimed for gameplay. Score and time are on the right. Our score and time are right in the middle of what we built for timers and power plays and quick stat comparisons between teams. So instead of the whole top left thing and it kind of fading out in some plays and on and off, it's always going to be at the bottom now for now. So that's interesting. That's a different way to look at the game.
I'm not going to like that because I have a bunch of stuff on the bottom of my TV that I'm going to have to move now, but I'll live with it.
Play of the game highlights. We've taken a page from other online games and celebrated individual achievements and show off great plays and players to friends and foes alike. The result is the new play of the game sequence seen at the end of every EA Sports Hockey League and every Ultimate Team game. We select a great goal, save, or hit to showcase the new ice level camera work, slow motion, and unique audio treatment. It's a terrific moment for bragging about your skills and style. So we're not just getting random highlights of plays in the game that really mean nothing. So that's pretty cool. Usually you go through like in between periods, you get like the replays of like plays in the game that really didn't affect the game whatsoever.
A random hit.
Yeah. And they'll end off the highlight with like the last goal that's scored.
Yeah.
From like a horrible angle.
Yeah, you can't even see the goal going in.
Yeah. Team celebrations. This is pretty interesting. So like the Carolina Hurricanes tweeted, our players love it, our fans love it, nothing else matters. It is a series of post-win celebrations that energized and grew the Canes fan base while getting under the skin of hockey traditionalists. NHL 20 brings a selection of team popular sellies to reward home wins in Raleigh, but you can unlock them in club rewards in EASHL, so your club can celebrate the joy of winning.
That's great. I mean, I'm always happy when they add stuff to Club and World of Chell, so I think it's cool adding team celebrations. I'm pretty sure FIFA's done that for a few years now, so see, they took something from FIFA. Why can't they take GM Connected?
So that's it for the presentation overhaul. So I'm excited to see how that goes and to get used to the new score overlay. That's definitely going to be different for me.
Yeah, I mean, seeing it on the bottom, it's going to be an adjustment, but again, like I said, I'll get over it. But I'm glad they put a little bit more work into it this year. It seems like you said, the 10 times more increased hours of preparation for the commentary. It's not just going to be the same two things said over and over and over again by Doc and Eddie. I mean, I'm looking forward to that. It makes it just feel more real to me, like instead of just so robotic.
Yeah. Side notes: they've improved goalie gameplay. I guess they've overhauled the offensive threat levels to control rebounds and deflect shots away differently, which is pretty cool. They've made an overhaul to the RPM, tech, speed, and shooting. There's like 20 different shot types that you can choose from, how your player shoots and winds up for a one-timer, so it's not the traditional same motion every single time. Another thing they improved is how a player, like if... It's weird how, like, you would go to, say, like, you go for a one-timer, but you're on your backhand, your player kind of, like, stops the puck and tries to shovel it with his backhand. They've taken that out and have actually made it look like, in real life, how you would just have to stick your stick out and try to deflect it with your backhand rather than having to stop the puck and then shoot it again. So they've made a lot of improvements to the shooting features into the game, which makes it more realistic, so.
No, that's good stuff. I mean... I'm glad that they're actually trying to make, wholesale changes to the game, especially in franchise mode and things like that, and trying to add things to make people actually want to buy this game every year. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's a game that comes out every single year, and it just gets kind of monotonous as far as buying it every year and getting the same thing over and over again, not really giving us reasons besides the updated rosters to buying the game. It's just like, at what point do you just say, okay, I'll just keep the same game for 2 years and just keep updating the roster? But if they're really going to overhaul it like they did this year with franchise, I'm all for buying the game every year and actually giving me a reason to buy the game every year. I mean, again, we all want GM Connected back in this game, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen on the Xbox One. Maybe the next gen console. Maybe they feel like that's going to be a selling point for them for the new for people to buy the new console and the new game when that comes out. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm obviously buying it like every year, like I am an NHL sucker for the video games. But again, it makes me feel. But it's going to make us feel somewhat. Validated to actually buy the game this year because of the new features that they're putting into it.
Exactly. And then I guess we'll end off with the big overhaul to, I guess not big overhaul, but to you people who love Hut. They've done some stuff with Hut, which, me and Brandon, not really Hut people. I'll go into it from time to time just to open a free pack or whatnot, but...
I played a lot of it last year, and then I got very upset with it when I had to play guys with 99 overall teams, and then I just stopped playing because I was too upset.
they've introduced a feature called Squad Battles. Squad Battles is a single-player competition that you may be familiar with if you've played FIFA Ultimate Team. New opponents are available every day, including weekly featured squads assembled by NHL players, artists, hockey influencers, and athletes from around the world. Every day in Squad Battles, you'll be given 4 new opponents to play. These opponents can be refreshed to play new opponents every 24 hours on weekdays and 12 hours on weekends. There's a schedule that's on NHL's website for you to look at if you guys want to know the schedule of how these squad battles are going to go down. Once you refresh your opponents, you will lose the ability to play in any unplayed games. So if you want to play all 37 games in a week, and make sure you don't refresh your opponents before playing them. So don't refresh them if you want to do that. Note that if you don't log in to refresh your opponents during an available window, you won't be able to play those games. While these are single-player games, the opponents are real player teams from the NHL Ultimate Team community. Playing games in online seasons, competitive seasons, Hut Champions, and Squad Battles has a chance to save your team as someone else's squad battle opponent. So you play someone in Squad Battles, your actual team will be used for someone else to play up against in another squad battle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty cool.
Apparently, this is a FIFA. FIFA created this in their Ultimate Team. I'm not too familiar with FIFA Ultimate Team,
either.
so I'm not too sure.
You can choose to replay an opponent once, excluding the featured squad, for a cost of 500 coins. This can be useful in cases where you think that you can increase the battle points earned for the game, such as increasing or lowering the difficulty. Replays are optional, and once opponents have been refreshed, you'll lose the ability to replay those opponents. So it's interesting. It's an interesting game mode that's being brought up. I'm not too familiar with it, but there's these things called battle points you get throughout the game. You get battle points for difficulty selected, your opponent's overall, game outcome, goals scored, and shots for.
Yeah, so they're giving you more points or more ways to earn points, I guess you could say. Strength of opponent that type thing, which I like.
They're continuing with the monthly reward sets and daily login packs that you get for logging in every day. You get like rewards for it. They've increased the chances of high overall players and premium packs.
It's about time.
I don't know what icons are. It says master icons in Hut 20 will be able to through them to. I'm not sure what the icons are. There's icon packs. Again, I'm not really familiar with Hut, so I'm just reading off the notes I have here. Some minor notes: player rarity. Common and rares are no more. All players either gold, silver, or bronze. No additional distinction between rare or common. Overall ranges for each grade remain the same as Hut 19. Golds are 74 and up. Silver 62 to 73, and bronze are 61 and below. Position restrictions. In Hut 20, you'll be able to put forwards in forward positions, center, left wing, or right wing, and defensemen in defenseman positions in your even strength lines. You'll still be able to put any combination of forward and defense on the power play, penalty kill, and OT lines. This change only comes from an additional filter of forward and defense available in an auction house and collection search.
One thing I'm looking at here that I really like is the compare price thing. Because you always, at least when I was playing Hut for a while, you'd always look for a player and you'd have to search and then go through each card and see which one was the cheapest one, and if it was a good deal, the one you were going to bid on. So I actually like the fact that you'll actually be able to filter the price to see what they're going for in the market. I believe they tried this in early Hut and it was like broken or something like that. So hopefully in this year's compare price, it's actually somewhat accurate. And again, it just saves you time scrolling through the marketplace, looking for this one player, searching for all the ones that are taken, and then trying to figure out if it's a steal or not. And then by the time you go back to it, it's already gone. And then you say, well, I had to search through all of them to make sure it was a good price or not. So I actually like that feature. That would save some time in the auction screen.
For you people that want the pre-order and you want the pre-order bonus, this year's pre-order bonus is, one, you get a Hometown Hero, Ultimate and Deluxe Editions. These players will start the Hut 20 year at 83 overall and grow 1+ overall per month until they hit 90 in April 2020. Select one player from any of the 31 NHL teams. We've tried to select players from each NHL team to have a bit of an extra connection with their team, whether they're a local like Troy Stetcher from the Canucks or a long-term vet like Henrik Lundqvist from the Rangers. You'll also get a Diamond Player Choice Pack. These packs let you select 10 players over 5 rounds. All players available for the selection are 80 overall and higher.
Some of those packs that you open are just awful, man. Like they don't. There's no reason to open some of them sometimes, except for the fact that you're gonna basically reuse them, put them back into collections to get another player, and there's really just no use for some of these guys you get in these packs.
And just a bunch of other stuff here, which I'm not too familiar. They've added goals for NHL 20, whatever this is directly connecting real-world results into HUT. They've increased support of European leagues and junior hockey. There's brand new events that are going to be up in HUT. Restricted competitive seasons. Like they've added so much to HUT because this is like their main thing, and it sucks how this is like their main thing and it's what they focus on the most because it's their money grab and you're all about making money, but to me, it's like you can't just focus on one thing and leave everything else on the back burner.
Yeah, especially when a lot of your fan base wants franchise mode and 6v6 World of Chell type things to be increased as far as the time that's put into it, because it just seems like HUT every year is the main focal point of the game, which, like you said, that's where they make actual real money off of, because people spend money on packs and coins and things like that, and they actually make a lot extra money than just the $80 on the game. But again, you can't isolate the people that play those other game modes as well, and I think they should spread the wealth around a little bit and give us, those game modes that we've been wanting back for a while, or just increased the amount of time that they spent on it, which finally franchise mode got a complete overhaul, which is good, which was needed. But I do feel like they put a little they focus the game too much around HUT sometimes. But again, if I was making millions of dollars off of a video game, I mean, I guess I can't really blame them. But it just sucks for us as diehard fans of the game every year, and especially people that don't play HUT. Or HUT is not the number one priority of us buying this game. It's just unfortunate that our other game modes that we would like get put on the back burner and things like that. But they're still cool features, and I'm glad that they're actually listening to fans somewhat about World of Chell and franchise mode, GM connected. But we'll see. Again, I'm optimistic that comes back with the new gen console and things like that. But yeah, NHL 20, I'm looking forward to it. They got this 16-bit NHL, classic NHL, so it looks like Jeremy Roenick from NHL. I think it's 97 or something like that, so they added that cool feature into it as well. But yeah, so it comes out on September 13th. In the pre-order and Ultimate Edition, you get to play 3 days early, which I probably won't be getting anyway. Now, are you buying this online, or are you going to the store to buy it?
I'm getting the cover because of Austin Matthews.
I was gonna say you usually buy the digital copy, but I was gonna say with Matthews on the cover this year, I'm sure you and all the Leaf fans are gonna have to go and buy it.
Exists. They'll be happy for me to come in because I don't know if they're doing still well in business. I don't know how that's going. I feel like eventually EB Games is going to become like Blockbuster and just fade away to dust.
Yeah, because of
but
all
it's what's good is the serious gamers that are all about the nostalgia of actually going and buying the hard copy game. That's still keeping them afloat. And
that's me.
Yeah.
I go in and buy them every year because I keep the covers. Friends make fun of me. Why don't you just buy the digital copy and then go buy the cover for nothing at the end of the year? But I still support video game stores, as obsolete as they are becoming with all the virtual download and things like that on your console. You don't even have to leave your house.
Exactly.
But yeah, so excited for NHL 20. I'm sure you and I are going to be playing
September 13th. Mark the date.
Mark the date. So that is September next Friday. Oh, of course they put it out on a Friday. Of course, I will be working, but we'll see how that goes. But you and I will be playing a ton of this game, and probably a lot more hours than we should be playing this game. But it's what we look forward to every year. And EA again gets our money, but at least they're giving us something to look forward to with this year's game, not the same game we've had the last 4 years. So that's something to look forward to. So I think, Kyle, unless you have any last remarks, I'm going to wrap the show up.
Nope, that's about it. And I'm pumped to play Chell and not play HUT another year.
and pumped to have a Leaf on the cover. I'm gonna be getting.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get your buddy Jordan to make me a custom cover, so I don't have to look at Austin Matthews every time. But anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for today's episode, a special edition of the Under Review Hockey Podcast, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. This was your NHL 20 video game discussion and announcements, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, your source for North American sports coverage by sports fans, for sports fans, and delivered to you right here in the Niagara region. As always, I am your host of the Under Review Podcast, Cappy. You can follow me on Twitter at Kapoots13, and all the links on how you can follow us will be in the description below of this video on whichever platform you're listening to us right now. And thanks as always to my my other host of the Under Review Podcast, Kyle, for great discussion today about our NHL 20 and our love for the NHL series, love-hate relationship. Kyle, thanks as always. And a big thank you to all of our great sponsors who help put us on and support our network to keep the show on the air. And finally to you viewers out there for tuning in and listening along for us on this fun episode of Virtual Reality. And this has been Under Review Podcast on the Armchair GM Sports Network by sports fans, for sports fans. We'll see you next time.
Keep it chill.